the vlog. Thanks for joining in again today, guys. Hey, follow-up video from last week. So I've had a week with the new Jag F-Type R now, and I really want to share with you guys why I bought this car. Why did I buy the F-Type Jag versus a lot of other potential options out there? There's a lot of great supercars, you know, even daily driver cars that are high performance machines. There's lots of great options, but why did I pick the Jag? We'll talk about that. But more importantly, before we get to that, if you look around, we see snow everywhere. It's just, we're still fighting with the winter weather here in Edmonton. It's just hasn't really been letting up. It's been kind of cold and snowy. And so what is this car like in the snowy weather? Well, generally not the greatest right now because of the P0s. It's got the Z-rated tires underneath it, 20-inch in diameter with very little sidewall movement. So the car is all-wheel drive, which helps, but the traction is lost with the high-performance rubber that we have underneath. So it's been a bit of a show here this week, testing that out. Why did I buy the F-Type? Well, as you can see, I'm driving it kind of wintertime. The plan is to drive a car that is good for all year round. So obviously, if I'm buying a high-performance car, after all, I am a horsepower enthusiast, but why did I pick this? Because, A, it's all-wheel drive. So the car that I was going to buy had to satisfy that. It had to have decent horsepower and it had to have all-wheel drive. So then what about all the other factors? There's probably numerous cars that fit that bill. I mean, you could talk about Audis. A lot of the RS models have big power. They have the quattro all-wheel drive system, or even the BMWs with the X-Drive that you can find in a lot of the BMWs. Now, specifically, the M5 has all-wheel drive as well, so that could satisfy the bill. Now, M2s, M3s, M4s, not so much. Great cars, old platform. I'm still waiting for the newer platform. So I didn't really want to get into the outgoing model, even though they always say the last year of that current generation is usually the most reliable. But still, it's getting a little long in the tooth and I'm really looking for the next thing. So I didn't want to go with an M2 or an M4 or any of that kind of stuff. Great cars, but I had to try something a little bit different. Now I could have went with an Audi or a BMW, one of the all-wheel drive versions. You know, for example, like the RS7 or RS5. I actually even looked at a TTRS and I came very, very close to buying one. But if it weren't for the greasy salesman, because I was buying actually a used one, I was making a deal on an 18 with super low kilometers, but the guy wanted too much, in my opinion, for that car, and he really wasn't up to negotiating. We were within about $800 and he didn't want to budge. So I walked away from that deal. Then I also looked at an R8. Now that could satisfy the bill. We have a V8 engine. Very exotic. You had reliability packing behind it, all-wheel drive. It has the profile, it has everything you need. It has a great sounding V8. And you know what? I didn't want a V10 anyhow because I have the same platform, the Gallardo, with the V10 I already have in the garage or, you know, tucked away for the winter. I didn't really want the V10 car, but I was looking at the V8 and I went and had a closer look at sounds, listened to it. But it just wasn't reaching out to me. I mean, they're great cars, and I know they're well-renowned, they're dependable, they're fast, but there was still something calling my name with the Jag. After all, I had driven one of these F-Type Rs a few years, well, actually 2 years ago, and I did a quick review on it, and I instantly fell in love with it. Now, this brings me to my next discussion. Why didn't I buy the M5, or why didn't I buy one of the Audis like the RS7 or such? They're great cars, very fast, and they look great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. They're an appliance for speed, technology. They're great cars. And trust me when I say I came really close to considering one of those. All of those cars lack a little bit of soul, and I was looking for something a bit unique. Now I considered maybe buying an Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, but those cars, we all know, you're lucky if they stay running, even if you have a warranty. The problem with those cars is, even with a warranty, you still got to get the car to the shop if it breaks down. And honestly, I need a car that's reliable for daily driver, so the press is still out whether the Italian cars are really the way to go, other than the exotics. But any daytime, daily driving Italian cars are really questionable. So what other cars could have fit the bill? Well, so I was actually looking at a 911 as well. So what kind of 911? Likely it would be a 991, Gen 1 or Gen 2. I probably didn't want to go all the way in for a 992 yet. It's too new. They want a lot of cash for it. So I wasn't really looking there. So you'd look like the Generation 1 991, which actually has the normally aspirated flat 6, or you get the 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder in the 991 Gen 2, which are which are crazy quick, and they're a lot of fun. But they're still quite a bit of money. You're really almost getting into 997 twin turbo territory. So which way do you go? Newer generation 911 or older generation turbo? Either way, I had looked at both of them. Regardless, as much as I love the 911, after I drove a 9911 Carrera S, I jumped into one of these F-Type Rs, and right away I just knew the F-Type was more calling my name. And trust me when I say this, I love the Porsche brand, and I would definitely drive again another one, but it just didn't beckon me. It didn't have the character that I was looking for. So I really didn't look too hard at the 911s. The GT3 RS, the GT3, and the GT2 RS, absolutely. Those, in my mind, are probably better than the F-Type R, but they're a lot of cash, and quite frankly, I didn't want to quite stretch that far for a daily driver just yet. So I skipped on the 911s, I skipped on the Audis and the Beamers. There was nothing there that had more stage presence for me and the performance and could satisfy the all-wheel drive capability for wintertime. So what other options? There's lots of great cars that I would buy. I love the Z06 Corvette. That thing was fast, and I really enjoyed it. But with chubby rubber under it and the very low ride clearance, there's no chance I could even consider a Corvette for wintertime driving. And then I also test drove a couple of Hellcats, a Challenger and a Charger. I personally like the four-door better with the Hellcat. I like the looks. It looks a little cleaner to me, but that's all personal preference. But regardless, it is too much torque, too much power, and with the same tires underneath it, with rear-wheel drive, it just didn't seem to make sense for winter driving. Although you probably could. It's like any Dodge. You put the right rubber under it, it would probably satisfy. But honestly, I did a lot of research, and there's lots of cases of reliability or questions of reliability with the Hellcats, where coolant system blows apart, radiators leak, hoses pop right off. Lots of little gimmicky, crappy little issues that you could find with the Hellcat, and honestly, it just seemed like reliability wasn't there, and the car wasn't quite dialed in just yet. So I really opted away from those types of cars. So what else is there? Well, there's really not a lot else. Everything else fairly mainstream. There's a lot of great choices if you want just a simple A to B, but if you want to satisfy the car that brings the soul and the passion to the drive, you've got the sounds, you've got the fury and the performance. All of that comes with cars like the F-Type R Jaguar. Sure, you can get some of that in the new M5, you can get some of that in the RS7. You can even get some of it in the M2 competition, but that's rear-wheel drive, and again, as I say, with short wheelbase rear-wheel drive, it probably would struggle for the wintertime. So at the end of the day, a car with 550 horsepower, crazy noises like you get out of these exhaust systems, and the performance, the sounds, and the look and the styling, we all know that between the British, the Italians, they make the cars with the most soul. So I had to have something in that genre, and here we are, and that's how I got to the F-Type R. So you definitely want to find out more as we go along here, what this car is like to live with, some of the issues, how much I paid for the car, how much of a discount I experienced as well. We'll talk about some of the issues and the things that I love and hate about it, but we'll talk about that in the future. So thanks again, everybody, and please be sure to hit that subscribe button over here. Love to have you guys join in again, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell as well. If you want to see the first video on the Jag here, right there, the link to that video is right over there. So thanks again, everybody. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Catch you real soon. Bye-bye.